Greetings, Earthlings. Today we're going to go over some tips to help you with leg and foot pain. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a doctor or a physical therapist. Please do anything I say at your own risk. These things have worked for me, but use your common sense and consult your doctor if necessary if you have any existing crazy issues. Okay, so we're going to go over 9 tips and then 1 super tip. Now, pardon me if I have to look down in my notes a little bit. So first thing I want to tell you is that I have a little bit of experience with this. I've had leg pain myself. Being in New York City, I've had to stand on the subway for a long time. So I have a lot of experience having to walk or stand for long periods of time. So all of these things that I'm telling you, I've personally tried and I've found that I like them for myself. So, maybe they'll work for you guys as well. All right, number one you can do anywhere. So let's say you're standing on a platform in the subway or waiting for a bus, train, in the hallway, whatever, at work, doesn't matter. You just stand up, you do a hip flexor stretch. I'm going to link a demonstration for that for you guys. So you just put your feet apart, drop your hips a little bit, make sure to tilt your pelvis posteriorly. So you're going to tilt it, you tuck your butt under you, and then you're going to drop down and stretch it, and make sure to do both sides, both feet, of course. All right, and so that's going to stretch your hip flexors. I found that to be a very beneficial thing. Another stretch you can do is a deep squat. Now, if you go into a deep squat, make sure your toes, your entire foot is planted on the ground. So don't raise your heels. Don't just be on the balls of your feet, because that's going to defeat the purpose. It's still going to give you some benefit, but now you might start to get knee pain or something. So make sure your feet are flat. You might not have the mobility to go all the way down, but go as far down as you can. The deeper you can go, the more release you're going to feel in your lower back. And if you've been standing for a while, you'll have, you guys know what I'm talking about with lower back issues. And this also relates to other postural issues like posterior tilt, especially anterior pelvic tilt, where your lower back will have stiffness. So these stretches, number one, can be really helpful. Now, there are other stretches. You can do calf stretches, all sorts of things. I didn't want to just overwhelm you and put out every little stretch, because you probably already know to do a calf stretch. That's not something you really need my video for. Now, that said, if you want additional ideas, I'll be happy to mention them. But I would like to point out one little thing. So I said the right stretches. Sometimes you want to stretch something. So let's say your hamstrings might be tight if you have anterior pelvic tilt. But if you stretch them, it might feel good for a second, but it's only going to make the problem worse. So make sure the things that you're doing, so notice the deep squat and the hip flexor, those are common issues to anterior pelvic tilt. So that's what most people have an issue with, especially if they've been sitting in front of a computer slouching. Anyway, so that's what a lot of people have an issue with. All right, so that's number one. So make sure to do the right stretches. These are 2 of my favorites. Number 2, and this is the super tip that I talked about in the description. This one is so amazing. It's one of my absolute favorites. So if your legs are killing you, now I didn't mention this as number 1 because you may not be able to do this out in public. So this is in the privacy of your own home. Let's say you just got back home from school, from work, you're really tired, your legs are killing you. They just feel like so super fatigued, swelled up, whatever. So lie on your back, prop your feet up on a couch or something that's about the right height, and you'll see in the video that I've linked of myself doing this what approximately a good height is. You want basically the feet to be elevated, so the blood and possibly the lymph, everything is draining, the swelling is draining downward. So they have to be up high enough. Now, I happen to like the 90 degree, where your knees bent at 90 degrees and your feet are on a couch or a chair or whatever. But I find the reason I like 90 degrees is that you're going to posteriorly tilt your hips so that your lower back is flush against the floor. You can't fit an arm under your lower back. That's going to make it a really good alignment for your back. Now, if you raise up your feet a little higher, that may be better for the leg swelling, but maybe not as good for your lower back. So there's a little bit of a trade-off. You might want to play around with having your feet perfectly 90 degrees, your knees bent at 90, or you might want your feet a little bit higher. If you're going purely for leg swelling and you don't have lower back issues, maybe put your feet a little higher. If it's more for lower back issues, maybe feet are at 90 degrees, so your lower back is in a good position. Now, this will not only relax your body, but you'll get the blood flowing backwards. And with your legs elevated, it might feel so relaxing that I've been known to nod off for like 30-minute power naps. It can be, I can't even express how great it is. When you feel the blood rushing, you might start to get really relaxed and you might have the most amazing nap of your life. Now also, when you get up from your nap, you might feel like, hey, you're ready, and like that gym workout or wherever that you aborted because you were too tired, now suddenly you have all the energy in the world. It need not be 30 minutes. You know, oftentimes if you're really tired, I'd say at least 15, 20 minutes. But even, 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes can be great. But for like a power nap, 20, 30 minutes would be fantastic. Now for number 2, there are also other inversions. So you could do like a headstand. If you're into yoga, you can do a headstand, or I think it's called the downward dog, I guess, where your torso is up in the air like an upside down letter V, and raise one foot, and that will get the blood flowing. But I find at least I can't sustain that for 5 or 10 minutes or take a 30-minute power nap. So that's good. That's good from a mobility. That's also really great. So that would be my second favorite. But like I said, just the legs up on the couch, 90 degrees, flat on your back, that's my absolute favorite. So I really want to hear how that works out for you guys. And the longer you stay in that position, the more effect you'll feel. If you stay in it for only 30 seconds, you'll get a little bit of relief. If you're in it for 20, 30 minutes, you might feel like a brand new child. All right, number 3, foot massage. So if you have an object like a chair, you just find this little base, this little cross beam, or if you're in the gym, even better is find like a thicker beam, maybe like about this thickness, that's gonna cradle the bottom of your foot, and just press your foot into it, especially the inside of your arch. So that's gonna be right here, and just massage it into the chair. So if I were pressing it, I'm trying to do the standing for you guys. So you are going to I'd say, don't put all of your weight so you don't hurt yourselves, but maybe, I don't know, like a third of your weight, a fraction of your weight, and gradually put as much weight as you're comfortable, and just massage it out. And here's the thing, because you're spending the whole day in sneakers or shoe wear, especially heels, whatever, your toes aren't moving and your foot is basically assuming one position. And so it's gonna feel really cramped. So you really need to massage all that stuff out. That should feel really good. All right, next. Move. If you're just standing in public transportation or wherever, like let's say you're a cashier, you're a clerk, you just have to stand for several hours, at a pharmacy or something. You'd be surprised at the difference moving a little bit might have. Like even imagine like you're a tennis player with your legs a little wide, and you're you don't have to quite bounce so you scare off the customers or whatever, but just even a little bit of like slow movement, almost like a Tai Chi Qigong thing, where you're constantly breathing, and you're even if you're moving a little bit this way, maybe you're doing the occasional air hamstring curl. So you're just picking up, you're just curling your feet back. So the idea is the more you move, the less you're gonna get tired. The worst thing you can do is stand perfectly still or walk really, really slowly. I know that when I go to museums, I get super tired because you're walking so slowly. So that's why I like to race through museums. Now, shoes. If you can walk barefoot, especially at home, on the grass, on the sand, so we're actually skipping ahead to number 6. So barefoot walking is amazing, and that would be super preferable, but obviously if you're out in public, you can't be walking barefoot everywhere. So for number 5, your shoes are gonna make a huge difference. So I should probably star this. You really wanna get a comfortable pair of shoes. Now, what's a comfortable pair of shoes? I have very strong opinions on this, and just know there are gonna be people that disagree. That's fine. I'm a huge proponent, if you can't, like I said, preferably barefoot if you're in that situation, but if not, if you have to go somewhere and wear actual shoes. I used to make fun of this for the longest time, but 5-finger shoes are my new favorite thing, where you have a slot for each of your individual toes. Now there's other shoes, so it doesn't have to be 5-finger shoes, it could be other minimalist shoes, but the idea is you want a nice flexible shoe so you could move your toes. So everything can feel like it's moving. You're not just like in like a torture contorted, like the Chinese women foot binding. You're not in like a contorted, crazy position all day. So all that support that sneakers supposedly give you, it may seem like a good thing maybe if you're pounding the concrete, but if you're just standing, I know if I even stand in good running sneakers, I'll get really tired. So having 5-finger shoes or something comparable will, first of all, it'll give you a much more supported stance, because instead of standing like this, your toes can be a little wider, so that's going to give you better balance. So I'll let you guys explore that. I'll maybe put some links in the description. Important point, if you are going to go and invest in these or check these out, the star indicates, make sure to do it very gradually. Don't like if you run 5 miles or 2 miles, don't just put these on and do your normal 5-mile run. You have to ease into them for several weeks. So again, make sure you read about this. If you're easing into them safely, they're amazing. Just the only danger that I could think of is that you do too much too fast with them. And that's why a lot of people are like, oh, they're terrible, I got injured. Yes, because they try to do too much too fast. All right, number 7. This is not going to apply to all of you, but if you're overweight, you're going to get a lot more tired. Let's say you're 10 pounds overweight. That's an extra 10 pounds you're holding the whole day. So grab a dumbbell and try to stand with it for 5 minutes. Or if you're on the train or a bus, if you're standing with a bag, I'm sure it feels much better when you put it down. Well, that's what it feels like to have extra weight. So, if it's 5-10 pounds, it's not that much. But if you have 20-30 pounds or more, that's just going to make a serious difference. So aside from aesthetics or anything else, you'll find a lot of relief for your legs if you just lose a little bit of weight. And we can discuss how to best to do that with low carb diets or exercise, whatever. I won't go into that here, but definitely, if you're only looking at the other tips and you're not looking into losing weight, definitely look into that as well if you're overweight. Number 8. Oh, so for the overweight thing, I know that there was a period where I gained like 10 or 15 pounds from my usual weight. I was trying to like bulk up, get more muscular, and my legs started getting more tired. As soon as I went back down to my normal weight, I lost, let's say 10, 15 pounds. I felt amazing. So I've experienced this. This is not just some abstract stuff I'm throwing out. Number 8, if you haven't watched the previous videos on my channel on posture, standing posture, walking posture, please do so. Even if you have great shoes, you're doing all the other stuff, but your posture sucks, like if you're standing like this or your hips are kind of cockeyed, or that's gonna mess things up as well for you and make you get tired and all that stuff and give you pain. So make sure your posture is great, and you can check out my channel for the videos on that. Number 9, cold immersion. This is not like one of the first thing that comes to mind. This is more of a long-term thing, but this is not just cold immersion. I mean, this goes with any extreme temperature, like saunas. It could be heat as well. When you're doing cold immersion, you're constricting your blood vessels, and so that's very healthy because you're training your blood vessels to expand and contract. So it's like exercise for your blood vessels. So that might help them as well, so you don't get any sort of blood vessel damage in your legs if you're doing a lot of standing. So that's something to experiment with. This is not like the most obvious tip, but really just take some time and explore that. And number 10, exercise. I don't mean this in the obvious sense. So how is this different from move? This is moving while you're walking or standing. But let's say you just came home and you're fairly tired, but you're not so tired where like you're muscular, you just feel fatigued. So by exercise, I mean more like active recovery. You might find, so here's my tip. So let's say you come home, you're really tired, what should you do? I would do the couch inversion for 20-30 minutes, maybe take a nap, you're gonna feel really amazing, and then go and exercise. You can even do like a regular intense strength training thing, break a sweat, when I say active recovery, that's also related to Louis Simmons' concept of GPP, or general physical preparedness. But if you can go for a swim, a run, do a strength workout, whatever. The idea is when you're tired, the exercise will actually help get your blood pumping and your muscle, everything moving. So you're more likely to, the way I like to think about it, if you have like waste, think of that as like fatigue and being tired, you're gonna clean out that waste faster. So you might get over that fatigue much faster. Now, if you're actually super tired, then like let's say you've already walked 20 miles for some reason, like you walked 10 miles, then maybe you don't want to exercise. I mean, if you're fatigued, like let's say you've just been standing for 3 hours, 4 hours, and you're tired in that sense, then the exercise can actually help. So while the intuition might be you should just go lie down and go to sleep, in some cases you should. And I'm saying in other cases you might find you're gonna feel better if you actually go and work out. But I know for myself, I might not do that right away. Like I said, do your inversion for 30 minutes. You'll feel like nice and recovered. You'll have that extra boost to get you not scared of working out, and then go and do your kind of like a more serious routine. And you might find after you're done, now you're sort of back to, you feel amazing, and that initial issue is gone. All right, hopefully that was helpful. These 10 tips should get you pretty far. Let me know in the comments what works and if you like number 2. All right, I'll see you guys.